Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is from 1973, and it's Messiah of Evil, which has just come out from Radiance in this hardback edition with this lovely artwork. It's also got other artwork that you can flip it to. This, when it was announced that it was getting like a hardback special edition, I wasn't really sure why, but now after seeing the film I get it, because it's got a lovely big book in it as well. This film is incredible. Let's get that out of the way. It's one of the best films I've seen for a long time. I've only watched it once, even though after I've done this video I'm pretty much going to go watch it again with the Kim Newman Stephen Thrower commentary, because it's absolutely sensational. If you kind of get a film blender, put in Carnival of Souls, Night of the Living Dead, some Lovecraft, some Mario Bava, churn it all up, you might come close to Messiah of Evil, from the filmmakers that brought you Howard the Duck. Honestly, that's true. Willard Huyck and Gloria Katz, who were friends of George Lucas, Coppola and all those people, who were going to write American Graffiti or help writing American Graffiti. They then got $100,000 to make their own film, so they left George Lucas on his own. They did go back after Messiah of Evil was finished, but Messiah of Evil is better than anything George Lucas ever did. Apologies to Star Wars fans. It's even better than THX 1138, which for me is George Lucas's best film. But later they would make Howard the Duck, and also Best Defence with Dudley Moore and Eddie Murphy. It's hard to believe. So this is a simple tale. Well, the opening scene is a young man running away from something, sweating and desperate, and then a garden gate opens and it's maybe a teenage girl, and he goes into the garden, lies down by the swimming pool thinking that he's safe, but perhaps he's not. And that young man is actually Walter Hill, believe it or not. It was only after watching the extras I realised that it was Walter Hill. He didn't have a beard in those days. So that's the opening scene. So if that doesn't get you interested, I don't know what does. But it's a simple tale of a woman going to a quiet little seaside Californian town looking for her artist father who has went missing. The town is called Point Dune, which obviously sounds a lot like Point Doom, and it might as well be called Point Doom. And she comes across this character called Tom, who has two female friends, and he goes around the world. He's rather rich, collecting folklore and supernatural tales on his tape-to-tape recorder, and this was 1973 after all. And she comes across him interviewing great old Elisha Cook Jr., playing pretty much the same character that Elisha Cook Jr. played all of his career, a squirrely little character who tells this story about 100 years ago, blood moons, dark things coming out of the the woods and the ocean to take people over and wait for the dark stranger to come. We have the soundtrack, not soundtrack, we have the voiceover by Royal Dano, good old Royal Dano, in many, many westerns, as Arletty's father, pretty much describing what's going on. Now, once the film was finished, the producers went back and added a voiceover by the young woman as well to help try and explain it, and it was kind of bookended by scenes as well. But again, the narrative doesn't really matter. It's all about atmosphere. It's all about the sense of dread. Everything's off kilter, from the performances. Royal Dano, the father's studio. You have these kind of life-sized paintings of people that observe, especially when people are taking a bath. So everything's off kilter, everything feels odd, and that just lends itself to just the amazing quality of the film. There's a couple of landmark, really fantastic set pieces. One in a supermarket, which almost looks forward to Dawn of the Dead by Romero, and one in a cinema, which pretty much has a lovely nod to the power of cinema and violence on the screen, violence off the screen. The two companions of the man who likes going around hearing about superstitious stories and folklore is Joy Bang and Anitra Ford, who you'll probably recognise from lots of other 70s films. And in the cinema, where Joy Bang goes to watch a film, the film is actually a James Caan, Sammy Davis Jr. Western, but outside the marquee says that it's showing the film Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, which is fairly prophetic. I mean, I'm not doing a really good job of selling this film, because again, it doesn't really make a lot of narrative sense. It's just all the faces, the townspeople, the things that happen. I'm trying not to spoil stuff because it's jaw-droppingly good if you are a fan of not necessarily just horror films, but just films that are just off but somehow just make complete sense. Again, you keep having to tell yourself these people went on 13 years later to make Howard the Duck. Incredible. The extras on this are fantastic. As I've said, I'm away to listen to the Kim Newman, Stephen Thrower audio commentary. There's a audio interview from 2019 with Willard Huik, not quite sure how to pronounce his last name, by Mike White from the Projection Booth podcast, which is 37 minutes. There's a visual essay on American Gothic and female hysteria by Kat Ellinger from 2023, which is 22 minutes. It's an 80-page book, but there's a really excellent 57-minute piece called What the Blood Moon Brings, Messiah of Evil, A New American Nightmare, which is a documentary feature, which was co-directed by Kat Ellinger, and it features the wonderful Alexandra Helen Nicholas, as always, fantastic, Maitland McDonough, Guy Adams, Mikhail Coven, and David Huckvale, who usually does music pieces on Indicator releases, but he actually wrote a book on American horror films as well. So that's an excellent documentary, full of wonderful little factoids. It is a film that, again, very much like Carnival of Souls, is almost very dreamlike. On Blu-ray, the imagery, which some of it you can see on the pictures that I've attached to this video, the imagery really pops. It's just a stunning looking film. People in the documentary suggest this kind of partly influenced Suspiria. You can see it probably partly influenced quite a lot of things, and was influenced by other things before it as well. As I said, Carnival of Souls, Night of the Living Dead. There's lots of Lovecraft. It's not kind of small cramped spaces, it's more desolation and isolation. This is 1973, even though it was released in 1973, it was shot earlier than that. The Summer of Love failed. Sticking flowers into the barrel of guns didn't work, strangely enough. Kent State Massacre, it carries all that weight of everything that went wrong in the early 70s, that a certain generation thought they could fix by hugging each other. Strangely enough, that doesn't work. So you have, there's just so many kind of flavours and so much atmosphere and baggage behind the film. Just the sense of dread, the sense of oddness, certain characters that are decidedly odd. It's got wonderful set pieces, and again, despite things being added after the filmmakers had went back and joined George Lucas and American Graffiti, it still works. It doesn't mar it. It's just a phenomenal piece of work. And if next year I do a kind of updated favourite 150 or favourite 200 films of all time, I wouldn't be surprised if Messiah of Evil was on it, because it's just so good on so many levels. I think it would probably be endlessly rewatchable. There's so much little detail going on. Again, I didn't want to go into spoilers or anything like that, because personally it's much better going in with having no knowledge of it whatsoever. Again, and Radiance is knocked out of the park as far as this release. I'm surprised I haven't actually seen it before, because to me it's surprising that it was never on Moviedrome, the BBC show that I've mentioned before with Alex Cox and then Mark Cousins. I can't believe it was never on Moviedrome, because it's Moviedrome writ large, basically. But it's great to see it on Blu-ray, because again, the production design and the compositions just pop on Blu-ray. I would highly recommend it. This is limited to 3,000, and I imagine this is going to go pretty quickly. So I would urge you, if you're that way inclined, to go buy it immediately, because it is a phenomenal piece of work, and certainly one of my favourite films of this year as far as discovering it. And it's just absolutely a stunning piece of work. So thanks very much for watching, and please let me know if you've seen Messiah of Evil. Again, it's another film that I've obviously been missing all these years, and that's the beauty of physical media. And again, Radiance is knocking it out the park again with this release, because again, the 57-minute documentary on it's fantastic as well. So thanks very much for watching. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films. Away to watch it again, saying farewell.